We are recording.
All right. Okay. So this week, we sent out the Habits of Health call this week. And so we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about that, we're going to do some shout outs. So we're going to do that with every call, shout outs. And those basically are celebrations. They can be non-scale or scale victories or anything around your health. And so when we think about that, we're going to talk about healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy finances. So that's what we're going to look at with the shout outs. And so I will start with a shout out for me, myself. I had a celebration this week. Terry and I went to a conference. And of course, when you go to conferences, they have breakout sessions. And at one of the breakout sessions, we were all crammed in there. They had these little seats and we were all sitting really, 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 really tight. And I realized when we were sitting there that when I was sitting in the chair, that typically what would happen for me was my thighs and my bottom would fall. Marty, what are you doing?
Nobody can see you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. My thighs and my bottom would fall over the chair and I would be really uncomfortable in the chair and feel really, really close. And I could sit in the chair comfortably. I actually had room on both sides of the chair. It was like, wow, I've never realized that I'm sitting in the chair and I have space on each side of the chair. So that's my shout out, my celebration. Anybody else have any celebrations they want to share?
Well, I have.
Oh,
Go ahead, Cassie.
Go ahead.
no, go
Okay.
ahead.
I am, before I started the program, I had gained back some weight that I had previously lost. And I, as of this morning, am 1 pound away from my lowest weight. So I'm super excited about that.
Yay!
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other shout outs?
Well, I'll say I had blood work done recently, and my cholesterol is really good, and my blood sugar is great, and like it's a lot better than it would have been, not on the program. So,
Good for you.
That's awesome.
Congratulations, Grace. All right. Well, I see, Darlis, you joined us. We're just doing shout outs right now, celebrations, non-scale and scale victories, if anybody has any celebrations to share. Anyone else?
Well, I'll share one, I think. One of the habits that I have been able to do okay is drinking water. And I drink anywhere from, about 80 ounces of water a day. But since we've been on the challenge, those of us that are doing the challenge, they've really been encouraging us and giving us some information about why we need to drink at least 100 ounces. So I've been doing great with that this week. I mean, they had water all over this conference. I just kept filling my mug up and I kept drinking water. So I was really excited because that's something that I haven't always been great about. I mean, I always get at least 65 to 80 ounces, but I made 100 ounces at least every day this week. So I was really feeling good about that.
Well, congratulations. Any other shout outs?
Well, I can share something. I have been so busy working outside, getting things done, that in the past, like last summer, I was unable to do that. I didn't have the energy, and I can't believe what I can get done now. So that's a great improvement.
Yes, I love those non-scale victories, Linda. It's so exciting.
Yes.
Darlis?
Oh, we're
Hold on here.
Darlis is sharing her screen.
Yes. I don't know if she realizes she did that.
I don't think she is.
Can you take it back away from her?
Oh, I'll work on it.
Okay. Well, we're going to continue. Darlis, can you hear us? Darlis? I see her, but I don't know if she's frozen. Oh, there. Now we're sharing your screen, Terry.
Okay, now I had to unshare Darlis's, or do that to stop sharing hers.
Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, so now we're back. I don't know if we lost Darlis or not. Okay, well, we're going to continue. So once again, like I said, we're going to do shout outs at the beginning of the call. And then I was saying those non-scale victories. Linda, those are so exciting for me because losing the weight for me was exciting, but those non-scale things like you just mentioned about having enough energy to be able to go out and do things definitely changes your life in many, many ways. So we're going to start and we're going to talk about the learning around the Habits of Health call. I'm not judgmental or anything, but Terry and I would like to know who was able to listen to the call. Not that it matters if you had an opportunity to listen or not, but we just kind of want to know before we start having a conversation about it because we don't want to bore you with a summary of it if you've already listened to the majority of the call. So I'm just going to kind of do a round. Linda, were you able to listen to the call? Okay. Grace, were you able to listen to the Habits of Health call? All right. Darlis, were you able to listen to the call? For some odd reason, Darlis, your audio is muffling you. So I don't know what, if you go in your settings at the very bottom of the Zoom call, you can see a little settings button and go in there and check your audio. Cassie, were you able to listen to the call?
No, I was not.
Okay. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about the call. It was by Dave Bush. He is another certified health coach. And he talked about that this is a journey and that we make the fundamental choice to make health a priority in our life. And he used the analogy that we're all in different places on our journey. Some of us are very successful and we're moving forward and we're doing really great. And there's others of us that are struggling. And so we all realize that we're on a journey and that we are all making the fundamental choice to make health a priority in our life. And if you want to refer to the fundamental choice stuff, that's in chapter 4 in Dr. A's Habits of Health. And you can read more about that fundamental choice. And he talks about using the analogy of climbing a mountain. And when he talks about climbing the mountain, he says that sometimes we have stress storms that we go through, that sometimes those storms are mental stress storms, spiritual, physical, or financial stress storms. And sometimes we get blasted off that mountain. And when he says blasted, sometimes we get bored, we get lonely, we get angry, we get sad, tired, excited, or distressed. And so we get blasted off that mountain. And so on this call, he talks about when we get in those stress storms or we get blasted off our mountain, that we need to create a failure response system. That we need to create some way to make sure that we're successful. A system that we can call back on, rely on when we have go through those stress storms. So he gives us 7 things that we should think about when we are creating our failure response system. He encourages you to make it your own and use his ideas. And so, Terry, do you mind going over the first one, perspective?
He talked about having that you can have that you really want to take a look at that, because if you have the wrong perspective, if you're coming from a place where you're resolving a problem, I think that's what where he was coming from, that you're probably in the wrong place, because once you get that problem resolved, you're not going to be as motivated to move beyond that. So if you're coming from the perspective, okay, I need to lose 50 pounds, and once I lose the 50 pounds, then I'm done. Well, you're done for then, but then you're going to continue on with the problem because you haven't really resolved the issue of why you needed to lose the 50 pounds. So you need to change your perspective about losing, about why you're doing it. Finding out really why you want to be healthier overall. He also talked about really just practicing your health, or your healthy habits. I got weird things popping up all over here. I'm sorry. Just practicing your healthy habits every day. You know, when you fall down, when you do something wrong, get back up and do it again. Don't say, okay, well, I screwed up today, I'm just going to wait and start again Monday. Well, you're going to screw up periodically. So you want to get right back on the horse and say, okay, I made a mistake there. I've learned from that. Now I'm going to move on. And always have that I want to improve every day, and just keep practicing. You just talked about, optimal health is a lifelong journey. It's not something we're going to do overnight. When I lost my weight last winter, yeah, I lost my weight, but I'm still working on the habits of health so that I can maintain that. And I want to do that. So, so that was the first one. Have a perspective of, this is going to take some time. This is a journey, and it's okay. Be kind to yourself, but we're not here to, once I reach my first goal, I'm not done. I still have work to do. So I think, changing that perspective.
One thing that he said with that perspective, Terry, that I was like, wow, he said, your perspective determines your path. And so that was very powerful for me when he said that. Perspective determines your path.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I joined on the phone, so
okay.
I was frustrated with the computer. I wrote that down also. I loved that. But to go along with that, you have to analyze where you're at, and you have to be very truthful. You have to be honest.
You are right. And he talked about that. So thank you. Yes, you're right. So that was the first failure response system. That was the first thing he talked about, was perspective. And as we're talking, feel free to jump in and add your thoughts on that. So thank you, Darlis. The second thing that he talked about was purpose. What was your reason to start your journey? And the aha for me that he talked about was, he talked about, what is your why? And he talked about that your why needs to be bigger than the how, because he said the how is what you have to do and that's the hard work of what you're going to do. And so you need to be able to be very, very clear and create your why, your desired outcome, what you really, really want. And so he talked about creating that why, that purpose. What is your reason for starting your journey? And so he talked about creating a storyboard. He talked about, I don't know if he used the word exactly storyboard, but he talked about putting photos up in your bathroom, putting them on your phone, putting them on your refrigerator to remind you of your whys. Mm-hmm. So that was what I got out of the purpose. Did anybody else have anything about the purpose?
Well, I just wanted to add, if I can, going back to the first one, your perspective.
Yes.
Because I'm kind of floating back and forth, and I know it's wrong, but don't think of it as a diet. Mm-hmm. I've got to get that out of my head. Mm-hmm. Because I've been on so many. Mm-hmm. And I've had success, and I'm having success on this one, but don't think of it as a diet. So I've really got to work on number 1 and 2 when it comes to that.
Good.
That's a hard one too. I think that kind of goes back to our initial why of why we're starting, because usually for most of us, it was kind of to lose some weight. So, that's kind of where we're trained to think that it's a diet versus we're really looking at our overall health. I mean, it'd be great, it's going to be great to lose the weight, but this is a long-term
right.
journey.
And so that kind of goes into the next one, Darlis, that talks about priority. Mm-hmm. He talked about, which really just was like, for me, he says, organize your life around what matters most to you and put it on your calendar. Mm-hmm. Make it a priority, choose it, and do it. And so for me, that's the third one, is the priorities, is prioritizing your health, prioritizing your healthy mind, making sure that you are making it a priority. Anybody have anything about that one?
I think we talked about this for purpose. Maureen and I kind of had a conversation about this as we were coming home. But, the people around you are, I think different people are going to try to trip you up. And so, going back to that purpose and having that sense of priority, and not necessarily to be mean, but there's going to be all kinds of people that are going to put things in your path. So you really have to make it a priority. You really have to have a purpose. And, it's just like exercise. Put it on your calendar. It's just as important as the other things that you have to do if that's where you're at, or, making sure that you eat when, every 2 to 3 hours. Those things are all priorities for you. So don't let things get in your way of that, because your health is really important to you. And, we talked about that today, about how, and maybe I'm going ahead on this, but we talked about how your sense of freedom and your agency are really tied to your health, because if you don't have your health, you've lost some of that. You've lost some of that freedom and that you could have if you were healthy.
Okay, so that's priority. Did anybody want to say anything else?
Well, I just wanted to say this one I think is going to help me the most, because when you keep thinking, what is your priority? Well, health. That gives you a great response to anyone who's going to be in your path, get in your way, because all you have to do is say, what, I shouldn't be healthy? You have something against me getting healthy? I've been practicing this because I have a big weekend coming up. But that is, I think, the number one thing. When you get that, why am I doing this? For my health. And how can people argue with that?
I agree.
So
I think yep. And I think that it's really hard, because I agree that my mindset has changed. Before, I was on a diet and I was depriving myself, and I've realized that I'm not depriving myself. I'm simply making health a priority in my life, and I'm making choices. And that's that's a big mind shift change for people. And so people don't understand it. So it's simply not understanding. So going on to the next one is persistence. He talked about never give up. That you should believe in your ability to do what you want to do. And he said, truly believe you can overcome your obstacles. He also talked about being plugged into the resources. And he also talked about practice, going back to that first one, perspective, where he talked about practice. And he said, you make sure you know what you need to practice and you're practicing the right thing, and make sure that you're practice. So persistence, never giving up. Anybody have anything else they learned on that one?
Well, I think I'm including this with number 7, but really you have no, I don't think he said it as harshly as this. You have no reason to give up, because you have all of these wonderful resources. So to keep that in mind. But
exactly. The 5th one was plan. Make sure you have an individual plan, and make sure it's written out. You have it in writing. He did talk about a structural tension chart. If you want to refer to that, that is in page 31, chapter 4 of the Dr. A's Habits of Health, that talks about structural tension chart, or talk to your health coach about the structural tension chart. He talked about following the plan and not modifying your plan. And we talked about when you modify your plan, you're going to get modified results. So make sure you stick to your plan, and you take time to plan for your success. And that goes into the 6th one, which is being prepared, getting yourself organized. When you're prepared, you're more successful. So planning your days out, planning your grocery list, making some changes around the house and getting rid of things in the cupboards, he mentioned. So that was the 5th, and the 6th one was your individual plan and getting organized and being prepared. So those were some of the takeaways that I had. Anybody else have any takeaways or anything? And then the seventh one, Darlis, you referred to this one, was he calls it partnership. And he basically talked about a community of support. And he talked about all of the resources that are available to you through Take Shape for Life. He talked about your health coach. He talked about all the support calls, the online support, the Facebook group. But what Terry and I, when we were reflecting and talking a little bit, we talked about, are you surrounding yourself with a community of support, of people that are going to help you, support you along your journey to optimal health? And I think that that's really important, to be able to reflect and think, am I talking to people, and do I have that community of support around me? And so then he also talked about, I forgot about with plan, he talked about SMART goals. He talked about making sure that your goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. And that's also in Dr. A's Habits of Health if you want to refer to the SMART goals. So when he talked about your failure response system, those were his suggestions, was have the right perspective, look at the purpose, your sense of priority, your persistence, your plan, being prepared, and your partnership. Those were his 7 main bullets when you're looking at your failure to response system. Anybody have any takeaways or anything else from this call that they would like to share with us? So the last thing we want to do is, if there's any questions, anything, it doesn't necessarily have to be relevant to this call, but it can be any questions that you have in regards to health and your journey. Questions? I want to thank you for being on, and I also want to let you know that those Habits of Health calls are weekly. And they are available to you. You can get on those calls live. And if you don't want to get on live on those calls, you can listen to the recordings. They're available to you. If you don't know where to find those calls, make sure you get a hold of your health coach. They will help you get that information so that you can listen to those. Also want to let you know that they are all archived. So if this is the first Habits of Health call that you've listened to, there are hundreds of them on the website that you can access. So if you want to listen to one a day instead of just once a week, they are all there. You can listen to them, and they're all different types of topics, but they're all around the Habits of Health. They're amazing calls. I listen to them on my way to work, usually once a week. Listen to those calls because they're a 30-minute call, easy to listen to on my way to work. So I would highly recommend that you plug yourself in, just like Dave Bush says, in your plan and in your things, to plug into the system of support, and that would be the Habits of Health call.
You can subscribe to them through your iTunes also.
Yes, they are on a podcast. If you search TSFL Habits of Health calls, you'll get the podcast, and then you can subscribe to that, and they'll download automatically.
Hey,
Any
Martin,
other comments or questions?
Hello?
Yes, Martin?
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
I just want to say, like, for some of us, I'm not sure about the ladies on the over there, but this is the first Zoom call I've ever really participated in. I've seen Maureen on them. I've always listened to a lot of the podcasts and the Take Shape for Life Team Global webinar videos, and a lot of the structuring on that way, and I've listened to a lot of those. So this is a little different structure. So I know there's a little tendency of I've got a lot of questions, but I'm not real sure about how to step out there and ask them, or how to visit with you guys about some of that stuff. And of course I have Maureen, so I'm a little lucky that way. But I just think, maybe it's a little uncertainty yet. So this is really good. You're getting going and getting rocking. So that's awesome. That's really good. But I did listen to the thing with Dave Bush, and it was pretty powerful stuff. And there is a whole lot of those type things on there for the Team Global webinars, and they really are amazing. But thank you, ladies, for putting this on. That was really good.
Thanks, Martin.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Well, we're going to do these weekly, 8:30 to 9 every Wednesday night. We'll be sending out on Sunday evenings. We'll be sending out our learning that we're going to talk about on the Wednesdays. Feel free to invite any friends. If you have a friend that's thinking about maybe starting their journey and they're just not sure, feel free to invite them to our call. Go ahead and forward that email and say, hey, just get on the call with us and check out what we're doing. And learn a little bit more about the program. So we're welcome. Anyone that wants to look at health and make that a priority, they're more than welcome to join us.
Hey,
so,
Terry.
Take care and have a wonderful evening.
Terry.
Yes.
The invite button on the bottom, if you hit that, I've been afraid to like hit a bunch of that stuff. I saw the chat thing, but if a person hit that invite button, can you Facebook friend people?
You can send, I think you can send an email to them.
Okay, so that's the kind of thing. Oh, so while this Zoom was going on, that's something you would do at the same time?
No, what I would recommend that you do is in the email that we sent, I would talk to the person that you would like to invite, and then I would send that email to them and say, hey, join us. It's at 8:30 to 9, and then they can join us then. And then they're going to have the link on how to join the Zoom right in that email.
Yeah, and they just have to click on the link.
Just like you joined.
Okay. Well,
all right.
Got it. Okay. It's a chance. Thanks, Terry. Thanks,
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Good night. Thanks.